Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you for everybody tuning in live here with me and for everybody watching the recording. Um, Pretty much just got off Mike Miles' session. For those of you guys who jumped on that as well, man, some major breakthroughs. And I'm just going to share a couple key things that I took notes on that helped me really break down some of the walls that we have when we put up when we first get into this journey of trading and this endeavor of like understanding the exchange of currencies and how we can capitalize that and basically turn it in favor for our own lives and for our own families. So one of the things that he was talking about was how this works, like trading currencies works. It's just a matter of if you work, because clearly the example he gave was really, really powerful. He said, let's say there's a random guy named Bob. Okay. And Bob is just a random guy. He doesn't really know much about trading. He knows like it exists and he knows like, okay, buy low or yeah, buy low, sell high. He knows that type of stuff, like just the basics of everything. And let's say, for example, he just jumps on tradingview.com, picks a random currency pair. And because let's say his favorite color is blue, he picks that color in his trading app and just presses buy just because it's his favorite color. And let's say his trade goes up 50, 100, 200 pips. The opportunity of that happen or the chance of that even happening, the probability of that even happening, where else are you going to find that type of thing? Like the closest example that Mike Miles gave is a casino. You know, anybody could just throw in $1 into a jackpot machine or like a slot machine, pull the lever, and like, hold your breath. And let's say it happens. Great. That's a direct example. But for me, and for a lot of people that we're connected to within the RFG family, trading is not that. It's not just looking at charts. It's not just looking at candles and patterns and trend lines and Fibonacci retracement clusters and all these types of things. Yeah, it could get deep and it's a rabbit hole in itself. And like Donnie and a lot of the other educators within RFG, like Jose, they all talk about how it's fractal, just like life. Just like if you plant a sunflower, what happens to the sunflower when you first plant it? It gets in the ground, you bury it with soil, you get water, you water it, then the sun does the rest. And you basically keep up with the watering, you keep up with the upkeep, you do the due diligence by making sure that that sunflower seed does not die. And then what happens? It eventually keeps growing and growing and growing, get bigger, bigger and bigger and bigger. And it bursts out exponentially with all these seeds and all these things happening. So I feel like if we take this approach to our trading and take this approach to just our mindsets when we're even looking at these charts for the week, because we all know that Sunday is really slow. Market opens. It's kind of like adjusting for what's about to happen this week. And that's basically what I want to do on this session. I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time for everybody watching on the recording, but this is just a little mindset tip, a little nugget, a little gem, if you will, to kind of get our brains primed for what this endeavor truly entails. And what Mike was saying was about the discipline and about just taking a full evaluation of who you are mentally and the types of decisions that you're okay with yourself making, and attaching that to trading is just going to give you so much more understanding about how or what type of trader you're going to be, let alone what kind of person you're going to be. Because yeah, let's say you hit it big in trading in the next 6 months, you actually change everything within your life and you don't have to worry about the little types of income at first, and you're now in a different level, and you're now like, let's say $1,000 or like $10,000 was a lot to you 6 months ago, but now it doesn't seem like that much because you're just at a higher level. You're just at a higher frequency because you've programmed your brain. You've given yourself so much information. You've fed your brain because your brain gets hungry, right? Just like your stomach does. Your brain also gets hungry. So that was just a little quick nugget, but let's jump straight into the charts. Well, who understands what I was just saying with that? Cool. Cool. Awesome. All right. So I got a couple things I want to look at on here. Everybody see my screen? Everybody hear me loud and clear? I hope this works. Cool, we're good? Okay. Sweet. So I was looking on the harmonic scanner. All right. And one of the things that I noticed was this right here. GBP CAD on the 4 hour. Keep in mind, this is the 4 hour. Usually we only look at scans from the 1 hour, but for this example, we're going on the 4 hour just because it gives you more of that fractal look. It makes you take a step back really and looking at what price has been doing for the past, like since August 23rd or August, the beginning of August essentially. So it took from the beginning of August all the way till September now, September 15th, September 16th, 17th, to actually make this pattern appear within the markets. And then I looked at this right here, how this pattern was called out, because this is where the harmonic scanner pulls a pattern out. And I noticed there's a ceiling right here. So I'm just going to draw a line right there, and I'm going to draw a line here as an area of resistance, or AKA a ceiling. Okay, and then I'm going to draw 2 lines down here for the floor, AKA support. So what is price doing right now? Price is essentially trapped, hence the name price trap, hence this strategy. We ultimately are just looking to trap price and wait for it to reveal itself to us. Because when we're looking at these charts, when we're looking at these candles, when we're looking at all this stuff, it doesn't matter what it does. All that truly matters, just like the example of Bob, if he sees something in the market, just not knowing anything, just flips a coin. If it's heads, press buy. If it's tails, press sell. And that's your approach, you're going to win, but you're also going to lose. So it's the same thing with us. If we have all these scanners and we have all these areas of resistance and we have all these things that we're looking at, cool, that's great. But until the market reveals where it's actually going, or it reveals its true nature of what it's trying to do, and we don't respond, we don't react to it, we just simply respond based upon what we see happening on our screens through TradingView or through Harmonics or through whatever it is that you look at for your trade, or even on your phone too as well. I looked at this and I realized that if price does actually break this ceiling and retrace back into the ceiling, creating a new floor, it's considered a shift in momentum. And that's what this essentially scan for GBP CAD on the 4 hour is calling out for a deep bat pattern. It was called out 3 days ago. Still hasn't done much. But if that were to happen, let's measure this out. It has the potential for 447 pips. Okay. Whatever your goal is for the month, how much would 447 pips help you? Okay, this is just something that we're currently looking at. We don't know that this is going to happen, but if it does break our ceiling down here, become a floor, retest, you take the position, proper risk management, it goes 10 to 15 pips in profit, you set a 2 pip stop profit above the entry, basically securing your capital and accounting for the spread of these currency pairs. That 500 pips or 400 to 500 pips, if that helps you, and depending on how much your capital and equity is within your account, that's ultimately all we're looking for. Okay, now we can just go back and see some of these other ones as well, because I wanted to look at some of the more recent ones just to give everybody an idea. So this one was called out literally 20 minutes ago. And I know some people will say like, oh, it's a tiny scan, like it's a little pattern. Like, what am I going to do with this? Well, what you could do is simply zoom out. Like sometimes you got to slow down to speed up. That's what Matt Rosa said, one of my good buddies. He's really philosophical and breaks down a lot of these concepts in such a great way. And I love just listening to some of his old stuff, but everything that he pretty much speaks about nowadays is the weight in his words is so impactful. So look, we see this pattern, but we see how low it is in the market. We see how low it is. Now, if it was up here and this pattern had already played out, cool, that would be a good indication of, this is something that we definitely want to, take into consideration. We want to be like, yo, trader, look at this. Doesn't mean to enter the trade, but just means to look at it. So if I see price down here and it's predicting it to continue on as a reversal, something to definitely keep in our repertoire. So we go over here to TradingView and we find our currency pair USD CAD just to analyze it further, just to look and just to basically set ourselves up for the week. because I know it's Sunday. I know the market's not like going to be doing anything crazy. Oh, what is happening here? Reload it. Okay, here we go. Awesome, awesome. So we go find USD CAD, click on it, boom. Now remember, this was called out for a long position. They're predicting it to go up at least another 50 pips for right now. But the way I see this, I'll reset everything on the chart and just kind of take a look at where price has currently been on the 1 hour. And also for those who have been sticking with this one for quite some time now, even if we could go on something a little higher, like the 4 hour. Look at this. Look at this. So this was an actual harmonic pattern called out like way back, way back in August 29th. Yeah, August 29th. So like literally end of August, this pattern was called out. It price completely dropped for a bit, retraced further, further, like higher up in the market from previously where it was here, from when it was called out. And then now price is currently sitting basically where it first made that impulsive move downwards. Now it wasn't impulsive because it happened over a few days, but definitely USD CAD is something to be aware of. So, and I'm going to analyze it further because what can I control? My thoughts, my feelings, and my actions. So my actions is going to be basically trapping price on the 1 hour and then waiting for a break and a retest on the 1 hour, retest on the 15-minute, confirming with impulse, and then boom, entering your position with there with no fear because you're only risking 2 to 3% using 0.01 per 100 to basically ensure that you're not blowing accounts. Like for trading, you only should have like 3 things that happen: a big win, a small loss, or a break even. You should never have a big loss ever, simply because of the parameters that you set up. Now, you could set up parameters where you don't actually have big stop losses or big safety nets. But in the case of trading, we want to obviously minimize the risk and maximize our potential profits. So when we look at this, we can basically see that there is a clear ceiling right here. There's a clear zone. Boom. It's clean and it's valid to me because it's validated it within the past. So it's been bouncing above it like a floor. It broke the floor and then eventually retraced and became a ceiling. That was a quick opportunity in the markets right there. So even if you entered off this next red candle, like it still dropped, 30 pips here. So you collected your first TP and you had a stop profit in place and then boom, it might have taken you out. All good. That's what trading is. It's conserving your capital. It's not betting everything against what the market is going to do. It's responding and adjusting afterwards once it does what it does, because we don't control this. None of us control this. Even if we had $50 million in a trading brokerage account and we doubled it, that's not going to make a huge difference in a $7+ trillion a day industry. So all we're doing is we're positioning ourselves in front of these small moves accumulated over time. So it's compounding on not only our mindset, because we understand that it actually takes discipline, it actually takes consistency, and it actually takes you getting on here, looking at this, analyzing it, figuring out where you're going to set your stuff and where you're going to draw your zones out and where you're going to do all these things. And I personally like to keep it extremely simple, because if you can't explain it to a fifth grader, you don't understand it simply yourself. And so one of the things that I've always done is I've just trapped price with a box And so two boxes. So it'd be a ceiling box and a floor box. This is the cleanest that I can make this currency pair without it being too erratic and without it being too hectic, because a cluttered space is a cluttered mind. So for this one, we're simply just waiting for one of two things. We're waiting for price to either do this, to go up, which is what the scanner is essentially predicting it to do or calling it out for. And then what also could be potential is this. It could just continue on going downwards because it's in a downtrend on the 1 hour time frame. Now, if one of these two things happens, great. That means we can readjust once it does that and wait for something like this to retest where it currently broke out of for confirmation. Because when I was learning from Christopher Terry, he would always say that there's a move, a correction, and then the real move. So a lot of traders, a lot of retail traders, a lot of new traders, and just even people in the markets that have been trading for a while, they kind of get spooked because there's a huge impulsive move and they're wondering like, did I miss this? Like, is this actually going to be like, oh man, FOMO, like I could have been in that. But then it retraces back to where it currently was. And then you realize that, it was just setting itself up for a move, a correction, and then the real move. And this has happened time and time again. So where you can pretty much like back test this and see like, if you're getting in at the beginning of these trend retrace or reversals, it's called a trend for a reason, because it's like you paddling on a surfboard in the middle of the ocean where there's no waves and you're standing up. What are you going to do? You're going to fall down because there's no wave. So once you wait for the wave, then you start paddling, then you start positioning yourself, then you start waiting for that break, that retest, entry and positions, and then you wait, because all patience is your accumulated efforts towards a mundane task. So if you understand that and you're like cool with chilling and waiting for this thing to do what it does and responding instead of reacting to it, you're ultimately going to be an unstoppable trader. Now that's going to have to be matched with a lot of other skills, and those are all taught within RFG, and those are all taught within the academies as well too. But to just give you an idea of what we're essentially looking at for the week, this is another good setup that I definitely am going to keep in the arsenal, because I understand where price is currently at and I know where it could potentially go. Doesn't mean I'm saying that I know where it's exactly going to go. It just means that, if price does this, then I'll do this without hesitation, because again, you're setting parameters for yourself. You're making sure that, it's like, um, it's like if you were in the army, right? And you had a gun. What do you put in the gun? Bullets, right? And you put the bullets in a clip. Then you put the clip or the mag, whatever, inside of the gun. And you basically wait until you see an enemy or see a target or whatever the case may be, and then you fire. It's essentially the same thing with trading. And they give you that on the right side here. It's called a watch list, right? You can rename this to your arsenal or your clip or however you want to framework it, but it's basically giving you a setup, because a trade is not a trade. A trade is a trade setup, because you're watching to see what trade does. Nobody just looks at the market and says, okay, I got to have a trade right now. I got to do something right now. No, you don't. No, you don't. These markets are going to be here tomorrow and the next day and the next day. The only thing I see that if this just goes away, is if the economy crashes or America melts overnight. And I don't think that's happening anytime soon. So this isn't going away. And even if you see something happen and it doesn't actually do the break, doesn't actually do the retest, and it's kind of choppy and you don't like the way it looks and it gives you kind of anxiety looking at it, you're like, yo, I don't want to risk this. Like, I could just watch it, because sometimes the trade that you do not take and you just simply watch is the one that you learn the most from. And that's a big nugget. That's a big tip right there. Because yeah, like it's great. Okay, you could say, oh, let's say it did do the break and it was retesting, but you just saw a huge wick and it kind of got you like thinking like, this is not really meant to be. This is not how I wanted it to look. And then it eventually does go in your favor, 100, 200 plus pips or whatever the case may be. You're just simply learning that now the next time you see an opportunity like that that feels good, you'll have no hesitation. You'll have no backpedaling when you finally get to that moment. And so that's one thing I just love about trading is that it gives you those situations on a day-to-day basis if you let it. If you get on these charts and you do back testing and you look and you have insight, you have foresight, and especially having a tool like the harmonic scanner to give you um, such foresight, it's like basically you're having Chris Terry sitting next to you and being like, this is what I'm looking at. And it doesn't mean if it's called out on a scanner or if you see the impulse um like aligning, it doesn't mean that like, okay, now is the time. It just means that, hey, check your disciplines and check your parameters. If it matches, then take action. If it doesn't match, then don't take action. But who is going to be the person that's going to look at themselves in the mirror and be like, okay, I did this and the market did this. So now I'm going to take a step back, realign, recharge myself up. Your physiology, if it changes the way that your mind works, and it changes the way your synapses fire off in your brain. So if you're spending time and not dwelling, but just reflecting, there's such thing as too much reflection, because when you take too much time to reflect on the past, you don't live there. You can learn from there, but you do not live there. And for especially all of us in the RFG family, I know that we're focused on the future and we're focused on where we're going because it's so much more important than where we are. And when I look at these charts and when I look at where the trading space is currently, if we just come at this with the right mentality, the right disciplines, and we're flexing that instead of flexing demo profits or flexing profits that, like, yeah, it's cool to have profits and it's cool to like show that and it's cool to have that. But how much more disciplined have you become since just joining RFG or just since just joining IM Academy? It's just totally your individual progression being realized over a specific amount of times. So I hope that breakdown on USD CAD made a huge difference. I mean, I know I looked at it differently now, just even thinking out loud about it. The next one I wanted to check out too is AUDJPY. This is like the ultimate pattern. Like this is the ultimate thing that I'm looking for in a scan. It's like a huge scan. You kind of notice that you have to scroll out a bit on the chart to even see the full thing. And then what you can do too as well to give yourself some more foresight again of where this could potentially retrace to. You see the invalidation level, you see the green lines, those are entries, potential entries. And then you see goal 1, goal 2, and goal 3. That's supposed to be like take profits and whatnot. But these are just lines in the market. What we see is the candles going up, candles going down a bit, all right, and then creating basically a ceiling and creating a floor. So if we are just trapping price and we're waiting for that break of this ceiling to become a new floor, or break of this floor to become a new ceiling, look, if we were to position that, that's 150 pips, roughly 140 to 50 pips for this full scan to be completed, because that's ultimately like the end goal. That's like where we want it to end up. So now we take this and we're like, okay, let me just look at it. Let me just add it to the arsenal. So this one, so USD CAD, it's in the arsenal. Perfect. Let's move on to this one. AUDJPY, called out on the scanner. Wow, amazing. Like the way this looks. Okay, so everything gets deleted in the new week. Perfect. So here we go. I can just we're gonna make a zone right here at the top. So I go from just the wick, the most recent level of a ceiling, to the most recent level of a body of the candle. And sometimes I go really hardcore on this. On my phone, you can actually, like on the phone, on the mobile app, you can really go super close to that actual wick and the body of the candle to get like really clean zones. But it's all about the area. It's all about the vicinity of where you're putting these boxes for this specific trading style, trend trading. And then for here, I'm going from this wick down here to the most recent level of a body of candle right there. Boom. And so that's the setup. It doesn't have to be that complicated. And I know people are going to be like, well, where's your trend line? Where's your this? Where's your that? Where's the RSI? Where's the stochastic? Where's the all the other stuff? Well, again, cluttered space, cluttered mind. For me, to keep it simple, I like to keep it like that. And I always like to look at, again, the masses in not only just the world, but just the trading space, and realize, like, what are they doing? Well, they're looking at this, they're looking at that, they're looking at all these things. Their charts look like an actual heart monitor. For me, if I just keep it a ceiling and a floor, we watch for a break and a retest of either side, and we take action and respond when the market reacts to these things that we just drew in our trading app. That's essentially it. And then once it does happen, we could do some back testing a little bit later on too as well, to showcase how powerful like things like impulse is, and to showcase how powerful things are within the scanner as well too, which is like, again, a blessing. Because if you were to just start out trading not knowing anything about a harmonic pattern, not knowing anything about impulse and how powerful um, the actual confirmation checklists in there are, and then adding that to your current trading strategy, it's just game over. It's just wraps, because it gives you literally uh it gives you the signal. It gives you the, like, okay, hey, these things are aligning within the market. You look at the strength, you look at if it's in the red or below, or in the blue or below, and if it's oversold and it's overbought. Those things are correlating with your trading style and with the break and the retest, and it looks good, and you're taking your position with proper risk management. How disciplined do you have to be to do something like that? It's not really that hard. It's what's harder is watching the small things add up over time, because you see, you're like that sunflower I was talking about before, where if you put it in the ground and you water it, you don't see a sunflower in 3 days or in 5 days, or in like a week even. It takes months for these things to be actually like grown, and for it to go through the whole cycle. So as traders, we're sunflowers. We're like, for example, and we're just being placed in the ground, and we're watering ourselves, getting on charts, back testing, growing our minds, reading books, submerging ourselves in audios, giving our minds things to grasp a hold of, to develop new patterns, to eventually like put action to these patterns, and then eventually gather some metrics. And then what do you do with those metrics? You hold out over time, and then through all the continued efforts, you can take a look back with the reflection type aspect of it and realize, like, hey, because I did this 4 months ago, 9 months ago, 12 months ago, I'm now in a better spot mentally because I'm aware of these things. And it's not because it's your fault that you're you haven't been given the right information. No, that's not true. The right information is whatever information you deem right, but it's all depending on the metrics that you give it. So if, let's say, okay, yeah, this is perfect information, but if I compound it over weeks, months, years, and I'm still not seeing what I want to see, then that is your fault. It is because of your actions that you're taking. So all we control is this. Perfect. AUD JPY price is trapped. It's a ceiling up here and it's a floor up here, perfectly clean. Again, all we're waiting for is price to do one of two things. For example, because it was called out on the scanner, I'm waiting for a break of this recent level of a floor. It was a strong ceiling over here. So price was a ceiling, came up, broke, and this could be just a retest, and we could be eventually going back up. But because it was called out on the scanner, I'm liking this side a little bit better. But again, I don't know. That's why I draw both sides, because I'm not predicting the market. I'm simply reacting to how price, or I'm simply responding to how price reacts. Boom. So I just want to see a break. I want to see a retest. This is where you can use things like Fibonacci as well, but you don't have to. You could just look at it. And if you see a break, a retest, boom, you hit enter. You could do twin trading, which is what I do, what Chris Verderick does, and how Chris Terry essentially learned how to capitalize on the full entire move instead of just mini moves and then taking partials on only one position and then getting stopped out and then let's say just tanks or flies for another 100 pips, 200 pips, and not being able to capitalize on those moves. Okay, all good. Remember, goes back to the metrics part of it. It goes back to that, if I actually like looked at it and saw what it did and then just went back, a week later, what kind of position would I have been in? Right. And this just for one side. So another thing that we always like to um, really use to go to add just to our edge is the higher time frames because like I said before, if you're zooming out, you have to slow down to speed up. So we go on something like, okay, so we drew this up on the 1 hour. Let's say we go to a 4 hour. Where is price currently at? Okay, its price is currently trapped right over here. It's been in that area before, and it's also been way above and way below that area before as well too. So all I'm looking for is something like this. If we see a break and a retest, we have all these um, levels in the market to go through. Now let's say like we took the position, it went, 135 pips to complete the scan, and then that's another 230, and then even if we hit this final wick from over here, that's 316 pips potential. And what's amazing is that you could have made $31.66. You could make $316. You can make $3,166 or $31,000, all depending on the capital and equity within your account, plus your lot size, and depending on the brokerage you're using as well. So the same concept it takes to make $1 in these markets is the same concept that it takes to make millions of dollars in the market. It's just all depending on you and what work you're deciding to put into it. So for this one, yeah, it's really exciting, but it's something we definitely want to just be aware of when we're going in here and we're setting ourselves up for the week. This is like something nice. It's clean. It's not like ideal, but it's definitely like on the watch list and in our arsenal. I don't know why AD is here. Yeah, we can take this one off. So far we have AUD, JPY, and USD CAD. The rest, I'm still gonna keep them. Um, yeah, like for this one, USD, JPY, sure, we could definitely still see some action on this one. But again, because it's Sunday night, we're simply gonna be just like watching how it reacts to these certain areas. So for example, right here, this was a clear four. Look at all the edges of the candle lining up right in here. It's like a cluster of them, not really doing much. Indecision. And then for the floor, I'm going to this wick. And then another thing that I was always told too is to look for the zone within the zone. And because I'm going off of this wick and that body, the candle right there, this one's also cool because USD JPY is like way up there in terms of where it's been in the past. So now if we're seeing this and we're getting ahead of these, like, so this is what trend trading really is. And this is why it excites me so much. Because yeah, if we see here, I'll take it from the middle of this zone. If we see a break and a retest of this zone, and then it goes to even that wick, that's 315. If it goes to finish all of these as well, it's 518. So it's just the projection. It's just the foresight. It's like where it could potentially go. Um, and obviously with foreign exchange and like these markets just in general and like the world, it's just you never know until you know. And all we do is we position ourselves in a place to know where it's at the current moment. And if you're just focused on that when you come down to the nitty gritty of the trading. But the whole mindset of it is we don't know and we truly have no idea. We can draw as many zones and we can draw as many things on here as we want. But until price shows us that, hey, I did a break, I did a retest, and now I'm confirming a sell position or I'm confirming a long position, a buy, Like don't take action, just simply like watch. Like there's no with trading, there's no boss saying that you have to put a this lot size on there, that you have to put a this on there. It's all within yourself. You have the capabilities and the power to determine that for yourself. And it's kind of like golf. It's kind of like skateboarding. It's not like a team sport unless you're like on a team for the Olympics, but nobody can get on the board for you. Nobody can tell you like that was a good kickflip. You just feel it. Or like, yeah, you can film yourself doing a swing as a golf player and look back and be like, yeah, that was a good swing, but did it feel good? Did it give you anxiety? Did it give you some type of like discretion in terms of your emotions? Were you masking it when you were actually taking those actions? Or were you fully authentic? Or were you fully yourself while you were doing that? And just adding that type of awareness to and bringing yourself to that type of awareness on trading and on charts, my goodness. Plus all that matched with a family, a community of individuals who are also seeking the same thing, and motivating others, like new people, to learn about this disciplines, learn about these things as well, is just super, super powerful. And I'm just truly blessed, truly grateful to be on this and to just be able to share and showcase some of the talents, because I've been pretty proficient at this for years now, understanding a simple strategy. And Mike Miles even just talked about this on his previous session as well too. I fear not. This is from Bruce Lee. I fear not the man who practiced 10,000 kicks one time. Or yeah, 10,000 kicks once. I fear the man who practiced one kick 10,000 times. And it just goes to show you that, yeah, it's the same thing over and over and over again, still having the mindset of wealth and abundance and not having scarcity in your mindset, not having lack in your mindset. But the concept is, if you give me 8 hours to cut down a tree, I'm going to spend 6 of those 8 hours sharpening my axe. So it gives you an idea of what it's really going to take, the disciplines that you're going to need to develop, and the character you're going to have to become. It's going to take a lot out of you. It's a good and a bad thing, because it is you versus you. And only you can determine what your best was. It's going to change from when you're sick, from when you're healthy, from when you're like different types of the year, whatever the case may be. But you only can determine that. And if you do something and you're not all in it, you're only stealing from yourself. And I don't recommend stealing from yourself just because. Um, but yeah, those are the ones that I'm gonna go over tonight. So USD JPY, UCAD, and then the last one, AJ. Just for everybody's references, I'm gonna send some of these charts back into the price trap community and also the trade talks, just so that everybody stays up to date with just how certain other individuals are looking at trading and certain other individuals are looking at charts, and we can compare and contrast. But again, comparison is the thief of joy. If you're following your disciplines and you're within your parameters and you set that for yourself and you stick to it, give yourself a pound on the back. Give yourself a pound on the back for watching this recording and getting this information and educating yourself. It's truly a noble endeavor. So again, I want to thank you guys for coming along this journey with me. I'm going to be live again tomorrow evening around the same time after Mike Miles, just to do a quick overview of some of the trades that are either already happened or other trades that are currently happening as well, and some back testing, some more Q&A, because I know some other people are going to be jumping on. But for those of you live with me, thank you again. I appreciate it a lot. For those of you on the recording, thank you so much again. And if you have any other questions, hit me up in the telegrams, in the chats. And I hope each of you had a wonderful, wonderful weekend and had a great evening, or whenever you're watching this. Take care. All the best. And see you soon.